Welcome to the First and 30 podcast. Happy holidays. Antonino, what are we getting into today with the holiday edition?
We're two 30-something-year-old guys giving you 4 holiday-inspired downs in 30 gift-giving, Grinchy minutes of NFL football insight to get you through your hump day.
And this hump day is a special hump day for most folks. You'll be gathered around maybe with family, friends, maybe celebrating holidays in a different way. But, I mean, we're hearing the music in the background right now, man. Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You. So, Antonino, what do you want for Christmas?
You know what? I'm feeling extra Grinchy today. If you didn't notice from the onesie, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm fully Grinched out.
Check it out. You need to check it out. You need to look at his outfit.
I'm feeling extra Grinchy. I want to ruin the Denver Broncos Christmas spirit, and I want to steal that playoff spot right from underneath their grasp and get the Bengals in the playoffs. And that starts this Saturday. But that's how I'm feeling, and that's what I want.
Dang, that's huge. Yeah, we were just chatting about this before hopping on to the recording. But yeah, the big matchup. If the Bengals win, their playoff hopes are still. I mean, this is a playoff game, though, for you. If they lose, they're done. They're cooked. They have no chance of making the playoffs, right?
The lights will be bright Saturday, 4:30. The only game on TV. Tune in. We're putting on a show, and we're putting those Bengals on the map.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. I like that.
What do you want for Christmas? Come on now.
All I want for Christmas is a new coaching staff in Dallas. Maybe a new quarterback, too. A nice new running back to go with it. A nice top 10 draft pick. But Dallas is just spoiling my Christmas plans by winning meaningless games. But hey, I get it. They're professionals. They got to do it. It's their job to go out there and win. I mean, Antonio Pierce is out there yelling back at fans right now in Vegas saying, hey, we're winning games. We don't care about draft position or fantasy football and all that jazz. So
they saw your Cowboys sweater that you have on, your Cowboys hat, and I think that fueled them to victory yesterday. So you're at a credit for that win.
I think so. But all right, you alluded to it. We are going to be hopping into some holiday downs here. So to kick start this special holiday edition of the First and 30 podcast, let's head into first down, Antonino. And we're going to take a look at a naughty list, all right? And with this naughty list, we've assembled some players, some teams that have just disappointed us this season. And we're going to give them a big lump of coal and put it into their cleats this holiday season because they just did not live up to our expectations. Why don't you go first? Is there a name that just stuck out with you in particular?
There's not enough coal in all the railroad tracks in America to give to this team and this player. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson. Talk about a dud. The Cleveland Brownies come into this year with high hopes. They got to the playoffs last year, high aspirations. They got killed by the Texans last year, but Kevin Stefanski, he's won Coach of the Year a couple times. They made the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years. High hopes in Cleveland, just to fall flat on their face. 3-13. Deshaun Watson, you're injured. Winston, you're benched. And DTR is not the future. So that's it. The whole state of the Cleveland Browns in shambles.
That seems like an obvious one. Yeah, they definitely deserve coal. There was high expectations coming off of a playoff berth last year. The defense looked spectacular last year, but injuries have just ravaged this team. Poor play, inconsistent play by QB has also been an Achilles heel for Cleveland. But I have one better for you then, man, because this is the definition of dysfunction. When you look it up in the dictionary, you're going to see the words New York Jets right there in the dictionary under dysfunction. The offense and the organization as a whole are just in turmoil right now. I don't know if you've read or saw. You watch Pat McAfee all the time, right?
Oh, yeah, for
so
sure.
You saw this past week where they were sharing this New York Times article where apparently this is just, these are allegations, but apparently the Jets owner, Woody Johnson's son, who is 17, has been involved in some of the decision-making around the organization, like not trading for Jerry Jeudy because he had a 79 Madden rating and that's just not good enough. Like crazy stuff like this is coming out. And this is honestly something you just got to make up. But outside of all the theatrics that are happening in New York, you have a bottom 10 offense in terms of yards per game, second worst rushing team in yards per game, bottom 10 in points per game. all while with this legendary roster of ancient veterans like Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, young guys like Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall, just not living up to the hype. And I looked into it. It's the offensive line that's been a big problem for them too, Antonino. So it's just Cole for the Jets, and I called it. I told you at the beginning of the year.
You mean to tell me Aaron Rodgers he wasn't the savior of the team? No way. That's crazy. And then Brees Hall, everyone's projected, top 3 fantasy draft pick, laid an egg? Gosh, New York, I feel bad for all their fans. We have a lot of Jet fan listeners. I feel bad, truly. I really do. But this deserves Cole.
It does. It does. I mean, the offensive line, in terms of pass block win rate, 56%. That's 26th in the league. Run block win rate, 68%. That's 29th in the league. It's just, that's been a big part of their downfall just as a team. When you have an old quarterback that's coming off an Achilles injury who just does not have mobility like he used to, a running back who has had major knee injuries in the past, just it's a train wreck in New York.
You don't have to look too far, and I'm glad you said a train wreck in New York, because that goes for both teams in that city. There's the G-Men. The G-Men also deserving a Cole here. Talk about bad. They started the year with Daniel Jones, the 4-year, $160 million man. He's not even on the roster anymore, folks. Long gone. They let Saquon leave in the offseason. The New York Giants, what are you thinking? DeVito's out. Drew Lock looked awful. They just got punished by the Falcons. The Giants, both New York teams, Cole all over the city of New York.
That just must be so hard if you're from that area, like the New Jersey, New York, Northeast area. And, they love their sports. It's a big sports town. You got the Yankees, the Mets, the Jets, and the Giants. But to have both football teams just being this pathetic this year, like how do you go through with that?
They have 3 teams in New York. They might as well migrate north to those Buffalo Bills. That's the best New York team. So they should change a heart for those New York fans.
I apologize. They get overlooked. I mean, if you've ever been all the way out there on the border of Canada in the middle of nowhere, like who decided to put a team in Buffalo? We're going to have to do a segment just on like how the Bills even became the Bills.
Wait till you see their new stadium they're building. Sheesh,
it's looking good. But all right, man, we have to give Cole to some quarterbacks here too. And I hate to do this because I genuinely like this person as a human being. Kirk Cousins, if you got to see him in that Netflix series, Quarterback One or whatever it was called, you got to see who he is as a person. He just seems like a nice guy, a good person. But man, did he regress big time as this season went on. Like you could tell from the beginning of the year that he lost a lot of that mobility. It looked like he lost some strength in his passes too. But couple that with poor decisions, it just seemed like he second guessed himself so much down this stretch where he went one TD to 9 interceptions. He had like a lot of plays where he thought he just hesitated to make a decision, throws it late on some of these passes, just poor decisions, ultimately leading to him getting benched. Before that, he was leading the league with interceptions and fumbles. So, I mean, $90 million going to go to this guy for basically 3/4 of the season worth of work.
I'm willing to die on this sword. I think Kirk Cousins here got the short end of the stick. He won that game right before being benched. Anyone would have beat the Giants this past week. And then this week coming up, they're playing the Washington Commanders. That would have been a great payback game for him to go in there and clinch a playoff berth. They benched him too soon. Penix didn't really show anything that great. But anyway, I got one more quarterback here.
Give me one more.
And that's Caleb Williams with the Chicago Bears. Any chance I get, I'm ragging on this guy because he talked a lot of smack here, folks. When he got drafted, he sent a text message to the punter of the Bears that they recently got, I think also in the draft. And he said, look, buddy, you're not going to be punting that much in Chicago. Sorry to break it to you. And now, lo and behold, the Chicago Bears have a 9-game losing streak, tied with the franchise most losing streak with 9. They're going downhill. Ever since that blunder on the Hail Mary against the Commanders, they haven't won a game since. Caleb Williams, you're getting some Cole.
All right, there you have it. These are the guys that are getting Cole. They're going to see it in their cleats here come holiday season. But let's flip the script, man, because
Yeah.
we've been checking this list and we're gonna check it twice and find out who's naughty and who's nice.
Yes.
And I want to spend some time here on second down to just give the spotlight. Who are some individuals or teams that deserve the recognition for having a great season up until this point? Maybe they exceeded our expectations and have overachieved based off of where we were kind of projecting them at the beginning of the year and in the offseason.
Yeah, I have one player that comes to mind, and he's going to get a big gift under that tree with a nice wrapping paper, maybe even a bow on top. And that's Matthew Stafford with the LA Rams. The team is 9-6. They started 1-4 going into their early season bye week.
That's their formula.
Bad.
That's like their formula. They do that every year, it seems like now.
Every
they did
year.
It last year.
And on top of that, they had two receivers that were hurt. Both Kupp and Puka both got injured. They weren't really figuring things out, but they rose from the grave. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now, and they can seal the deal. They got the Cardinals coming up in the Seahawks. So Matthew Stafford, LA Rams, big shiny gift under that Christmas tree.
Yeah. I mean, they keep finding ways to stick in there, remain resilient. It's pretty impressive. But a guy that we were talking about in the preseason that not a lot of people had high expectations for, but I do believe, jokingly, I said this was my NFL MVP pick. I think after like week 1 or 2, I jokingly made that comment again. But Sam Darnold with the Minnesota Vikings, they're 13-2 right now. No one, I don't think any consensus opinion thought that the Vikings were going to be as good as they have been under Sam Darnold's direction. But this guy's 6th in the NFL with passing yards, 5th in passing TDs. It's just been an impressive showing. The one thing that I would like to see things change, he takes a lot of sacks, and those have been quite drive killers for the Vikings. So you'll see if you look at the stats, out of the 44 sacks he's taken, they've only scored 2 touchdowns on the drives that he's been sacked. So kind of crazy there. But regardless, Sam Darnold deserves a big present under the tree. He stepped in there. He's going to get a contract next year. The guy's played up to that level, so he will get his gift at the in the offseason, I think.
Yeah, perhaps he fell victim to that New York Jets very rotten environment, and now he's free of the shackles, and look at him go. Sam
Well,
Darnold.
yeah, when Woody Johnson's son was probably making decisions on his behalf, that would be the case. I would
Right.
assume.
Well, hopefully Woody Johnson's son's looking at some Madden ratings for my next pick here for gift giving, and that's the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love. Talk about a team who came out the gate 0-1. They lost in Brazil to the Eagles.
Yeah.
Jordan Love got hurt that game. I know a lot of people don't remember. He got hurt. They were still able to win after that and keep winning in a tough division, the division that has the aforementioned Vikings, the Packers, and at one point the Bears were good. They were 4-2, and we were like, oh, all teams might get in the playoffs.
Yeah, we had that contemplation.
We did. So the Packers coming out of all that, and they were able to have a 4-game win streak and a 3-game win streak this season, really showing their stuff. And Jordan Love is the guy. So the Packers getting all the gifts.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The Packers. What about the running backs though, man? We had quite a few running backs that were looking for new homes this offseason, specifically just to name, Saquon, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones. All these guys found new teams, and it seemed like what the conversation was at the end of last season was that the running back position was obsolete. It was dead. It was a thing of the past. But man, has it come back in a glorious way here this season. I was just perusing this year's top leading rushers and comparing it to last year's list. We only had 12 dudes reach 1,000 yards rushing last year. Right now, we have 9 guys that have already gone over 1,000. And I looked ahead, there's about, I think, 11 more players that are going to eclipse 1,000 yards. So we're almost at 20 this season, close to doubling that amount. So the production for running backs has just been there. You gotta love it. I'm really happy to see it too. Just bringing back that nostalgia of what football, like, grind it out. Seeing guys like Saquon chasing Eric Dickerson's record. That's just
Yep.
so cool to see.
Good old fashioned football. It's December. This is a time of year more running backs are going to run the ball, run that rock. So I am also glad to see that. And I just mentioned the Packers. Brandon Jacobs, 1,200 yards, or Josh Jacobs, I should say.
Hey, a throwback right there, Brandon
Brandon Jacobs.
Jacobs.
He first year with the Packers, 1,200 yards. So like you said, these running backs are performing. You love
Yeah.
to see it. And let's do one more gift here. Let's see. I'm going to reach deep in my bag. Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. They came in this season, a lot of uncertainty at quarterback. Justin Fields was in. He did well. They took him out. To be able to do a QB change that far in the season and still come out of that producing, they're 10-5. They're on top of the division. They're in control. They can seal the deal here. I feel like no one thought this coming in. They pick up Russell Wilson for peanuts. They pick up Justin Fields for peanuts, but they're making it work, and they have a game on Christmas Day. Don't look now. They got a 2-game losing streak, but a big game on the way.
And I think that segues us nicely into third down. But before we hop into third down, Antonino, it's that time that we take a little break on the lungs here and on the vocal cords and get into our half-minute halftime show.
Guys, we've gone viral on the interweb. Whoa. If you haven't seen it, we have a video posted on Instagram that has 633,000 views. You guys are unbelievable. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
It's pure cinema magic too. But go follow us on what is it? Instagram, Facebook. Give us a like, subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate all the support. And with that, Antonino, let's head into third down. You mentioned those Pittsburgh Steelers, and they do have a football game on Christmas Day. So how about we spend a few moments here to preview the two big games that are going to be played on the 25th on a Wednesday, featured on Netflix. But before we hop into those two games, any Christmas game nostalgia for you? Like, there have been games that have been played on this holiday in the past. Any that you can recollect that just stood out like, oh, that was kind of memorable?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about because I feel like I can't remember any Christmas games. Maybe I had way too much eggnog, or I'm falling asleep on the couch. Maybe I ate too much food. Maybe I'm playing with my new game that I got, new toy. But if I really have to think of one game, maybe like the Pittsburgh Steelers playing the Ravens. I believe Antonio Brown had like a coming out game. Maybe 2016. I just remember the Steelers beating the Ravens in that game, and all our local fans wanted the Ravens to win, and that kicked them out of playoff contention. So that might be the one game I remember.
Oh, I don't remember it. I wonder if Ravens fans listening, dude. Ravens fans, do you recall them beating, or no, it was the Steelers beating them 31-27. It happened, if you don't remember. But, being a Cowboy fan, man, I recall the Eagles beating Dallas. It was 23-7. The only reason I remember this game was because Jeff Garcia was filling in spot duty for Donovan McNabb. He went on this really nice stretch. I think he threw like 7 touchdowns, only 1 interception in the final 5 games, helped Philly make the playoffs, turn their season around, and that landed him a contract afterwards. So that one stood out to me just because Dallas got beat up by Jeff Garcia.
Man, and to make matters worse, that was bald-headed Jeff Garcia. That was like towards the twilight of his career, I believe.
Did Jeff Garcia ever have hair?
Oh,
I don't think he ever had hair.
I remember. I feel like he did have hair, but towards the end, it was like full-blown bald head.
Maybe when he was a child, but I don't think any of us knew him when he was a kid.
Yep.
But yeah, so we have Christmas games. The first one being highlighted, Kansas City at the aforementioned Pittsburgh Steelers. Kansas City's 14-1, Pittsburgh's 10-5. The line on this game is Kansas City 2.5. Over under 42.5. What are we looking out for in this, Anthony? What would compel us to watch this one? And I mean, any reactions to these over-unders and the line?
Yeah, you got a bunch of storylines here. Come on. It's one of the 2 most popular teams in the entire NFL. The fact that this game is at Pittsburgh, even though the Chiefs are favored by 2.5, I'm going to give the leg up to Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh finds a way to pull this off. They lost 2 straight games here. They're hungry. They're playing at home. There'll be some Christmas magic in the air. So I want to see that happen. But what I don't want to see is Patrick Mahomes laughing, hopping and skipping around the field, them zooming in on Taylor Swift in the press box. Please don't ruin my Christmas and have that happen. Please, Pittsburgh, win this game for everyone.
So let's put the caveat here in case people are I have to do it, Antonino, in case anyone is actually considering putting money on this game based off of the odds father's prediction. Antonino does have a very strong bias for Pittsburgh to win this game in order for the Bengals to keep their playoff hopes alive. The rationale is that if Pittsburgh wins and Baltimore loses later, Pittsburgh will bench its starters for the playoffs because they've won the division. So that's what he's hoping for, so that the Steelers lose their last game. So there's a lot at work here. You can't just take this for face value.
You can't think with your heart in this one. You got to go with the facts. And I just think Pittsburgh ekes this out somehow, some way, and beats the most overrated 14-1 team in the history of any sport ever.
Well, I mean, we agree. Kansas City has been quite overrated. They've been really good at keeping themselves on the field on third down, though. They're one of the top teams at third down conversions. But to me, the big storyline here is going to be George Pickens' status, because without him, that offense has looked anemic. They haven't had the big play threat that they had with Pickens being able to stretch some coverages, which has really hurt the running game too. I mean, you've seen Najee Harris become like obsolete here over the past couple weeks, creating a larger role for Jalen Warren just because they need a pass catcher to get more involved. So I'm rooting for Pittsburgh. I think the Chiefs are going to pull it out, though, on the road. They just have more talent. But if Pickens plays, I think that's the X factor. You'll see this line change based off of his status, I do think.
Man, I think you're feeling a little grinchy yourself because the next game we're talking about has those Ravens involved. Am I right?
Yep. So Baltimore, 10-5 at Houston, who is 9-6. The line is Baltimore by 4.5, over under 46.5. What do you think about this one?
Oh, man. This is in Houston, but I don't think it'll make much of a difference. I feel bad for the Texans losing Tank Dell this past week. Horrible injury.
Yeah.
I just think there's no way that Baltimore loses this one. Do they cover the 4.5? I do. I think they cover the 4.5. I think Baltimore wins this. Lamar Jackson goes crazy. This game just means more to the Ravens.
I agree. I mean, Houston's in this stage now. They're coming off a very emotional loss to Kansas City you saw the clips of Stroud weeping after Tank Dell's injury, knowing the severity of that one. But Baltimore's coming into this after a big win against Pittsburgh. They need this to win the AFC North. If Pittsburgh loses to Kansas City, I think it's Baltimore's division to win. So usually there's that little bit of external motivation that can play a factor. Houston, their mindset right now has to be like preservation, self-preservation. Yeah. Like really, they're only battling for one or two playoff spot in reseeding. They're not in first round bye contention. They've locked up the division. So let's just get into the playoffs somewhat healthy without any more catastrophic injuries. But one last quick note before we head into fourth down. This is all going to be streamed to us for the very first time on Netflix. Any concern with this, especially if you tried watching that fight, a month or two ago?
Yeah, this is a football podcast, but if anyone watched that boxing match between Tyson and the one brother, what was his name?
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul, Logan Paul, one of those clowns. You watch this on Netflix, it was just loading, spinning. It wasn't getting anywhere. I ended up watching that fight on a live stream via Antonio Brown on X. For free, and he had multiple million people. I think it was 2 million people at one point watching his live feed of this fight. So all that to say this, Netflix, you better not drop the ball a second time after you had the trial run with the boxing match, because you will get canceled if you screw up Christmas and NFL football.
Wait, so did Antonio Brown live? Oh, was he recording it from the fight?
Yep. He was at the fight, sitting club level, and he just held up his phone the entire time for hours and hours. Yes.
For the people? He did that for the people?
For the
people. Put it up against the glass?
He is a man of the people. Wow. Over 2 million people got to watch that for free on X.
Look at this Robin Hood character that Antonio Brown has become. And everybody's saying he has CTE. Nonsense. Okay, man. Yeah, well, keeping our fingers crossed. We know to maybe look out through X to see if anybody's doing the live streams. But all right, man, let's head into fourth and forever. It's the season of giving, right? So how about we go through and gift some teams and players something that's going to complete their season. How are these teams and players going to leave feeling satisfied? Really, this is for the fan base too, mostly. How are these fans going to feel satisfied? What gift are we going to give them? Maybe we'll just rattle off a few kind of Oprah style, this like you get a car, that sort of thing.
Well, now that we're talking gift giving, I'm going to book a first class flight for a few different teams who are heading to Cancun because their offseason just started.
Okay.
The 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh,
First
okay.
class flight to Cancun. You're welcome. Merry Christmas. See you later.
Oh, great. You had to go there. You know what? This is off the cuff, too. I didn't prep this at all. I want to gift all the Bengals fans out there a loss this weekend so you can just get the misery over with early.
Whoa,
You
whoa,
know, let's get
whoa.
this over with early because we don't want to prolong the delusions any longer. I really want to give the Bengals fans the gift of mental clarity.
That
So once,
doesn't sound like
yeah,
a gift at all.
nope. I want you to get sanity and mental clarity by losing to the Broncos, and then your off season can begin, and you can go live your life in peace and harmony, and not hinge on these false hopes that they're actually going to win the Super
All
Bowl this
right,
year.
all right, all right. All right.
Yes.
I'll try and pick something that maybe we both agree on
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah.
All right, I'll change it
Yeah,
up a little.
you don't have
So,
to.
so with my next gift, I want to gift the gift of a Super Bowl. Who doesn't want that? And I'm giving it to a team that's never won before. That's what
Oh.
I want.
Okay, okay.
I want a team to win the Super Bowl
I
that's
like
never
it.
won one, and that's my gift, and I'm going to speak it into fruition.
You know what? I like that gift. And if it happens to be the Bengals, so be it. But I too would love to see a team that's never won the Super Bowl win it. How about we give the New York Giants the gift of the number 1 overall pick? Let's just give it to
Ooh.
them. Come on, it's time. They need a quarterback. There's some QBs available. Let's give them that gift because they look absolutely horrible.
They do. And I'm fighting with myself because I kind of want to see the Raiders get that pick and get Shador Sanders and make Vegas a
Oh.
spectacle. Yeah, that'd be cool. But the Raiders, Giants, both deserving. Hope a team gets that and uses Shador. Next gift. This is the easiest one of them all. Offensive Player of the Year, Jamar Chase. You earned it. Over 100 receptions, over 1,500 yards, over 15 touchdowns. My goodness, the boy scores every single game. There's nothing he can't do. He's going to be the highest paid player of all time soon. Jamar Chase, Offensive Player of the Year.
You know what? I'm going to give a gift of an award to. And initially, I put Josh Allen here, but just out of spite and based off of our conversations earlier today around Lamar Jackson, I want to give Lamar the gift of a third NFL MVP because he is the most valuable player in this league. No one does anything like him. By far and none, Lamar MVP.
Yeah, I'm glad you switched that. Josh Allen, after seeing his last
No,
game,
that
that
was
was
bad.
mediocre as can be.
Yeah.
100-some yards, interception. Okay, Lamar Burrow. It's a toss-up, but I'll give you
No, it's not. Not a toss-up at all.
I'll give you Lamar for now. But last but not least, my one final gift, and every team out there agrees with this, and everyone wants this: no major injuries
Yes.
for anyone, any of the teams, especially those going into the playoffs. No major injuries. That's the gift I'm giving. The magic wand has been waved. No injuries for any team.
Yeah, I mean, I had thought about Detroit specifically. I don't want to see them with any more injuries, but you're right. Let's just get through these next 2 weeks with minor nicks and bruises because that's inevitable when 250-pound men are clashing against each other, but nothing serious. Let's head into the offseason in the playoffs healthy and
Yep.
spry. So good stuff, man. We're being very grateful and gracious with our gifts. Hopefully it all turns out. Most of it. Hopefully most of it turns out. So how about we hop into our 2-minute drill and cover some of the news?
Let's do it. It is about to be December 25th, and it's cold out there. So to get ready for their game with the Packers, the Saints quarterbacks ran through plays in a walk-in freezer to prepare for the temperatures.
That's smart. Well, Jonathan Taylor bounced back after his costly dropped fumble last week. I know you recall that one. He atoned this mistake with a 218-yard rushing performance, 3 touchdowns, in Indianapolis's win over the Titans.
The New York Jets, believe it or not, as much as we clown them on here, did not punt the ball this past Sunday versus the Rams. However, they lost, and they only scored 9 points.
Okay. Well, hey, you were making some jabs at rookie quarterback Michael Penix Jr. earlier. He actually looked really poised and helped Atlanta with a convincing 34-7 victory over the Giants. His head coach, Raheem Morris, even went as far as to state he went out there and played almost flawless football. I mean, he only threw one pick. It was because Kyle Pitts just can't catch a football.
Well, his nose probably grew a few inches, but Sam Darnold, spoke about Sam Darnold. He just tied the record for most wins in the first season with a new team at 13, tying Peyton Manning with the Broncos and Steve McNair with the Ravens.
All right. I don't know if you saw this play, Antonino, or anyone else out there, but Detroit pulled off probably one of the most creative trick plays I've seen in a while. The stumble bomb. Goff purposefully stumbled after receiving the snap while Gibbs then just fell to the ground, giving it the appearance that there was like some mishap with the exchange between center to quarterback and quarterback to running back. No. It was all theatrics. Goff picked himself right back up, threw a dart to the end zone, scored a touchdown, fooled everyone, and clowned us all.
On a sad note, prayers up for Tank Dell, who dislocated his knee and tore his ACL on a spectacular touchdown catch versus the Chiefs on Sunday.
Yeah,
Saturday.
Another sad note, Jalen Hurts went down early in the pivotal NFC East matchup against Washington with a brain bruise, a.k.a. concussion. His status is unclear for the next few weeks.
There is some QB controversy, folks. In Big D, yes, that's the Dallas Cowboys. Cooper Rush now has a winning record this year, and he has 10 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, and has the Cowboys at 7-8 after an abysmal 3-5 start by the $60 million man himself, Dak Prescott. Something to monitor moving forward.
Man, this is sad. I can't even rebuttal this stuff, and you throw it in the news like that. Man, well, sadly, my Arctic Foxes, I clown your team in fantasy. I'm going to clown mine. I lost. I was eliminated during the semifinal matchup to my good friend Kyle. Shout out to him. Congrats on the victory, Kyle. You deserved it. Hope you won the championship.
And last but not least, the neighborhood hero, Joseph Lee Burrow, is the first quarterback in NFL history to go 7 straight games with over 250 yards and 3 touchdowns in each of those games as he braces for a big Saturday night matchup with the Denver Broncos to hopefully get to the playoffs.
Well, there you have it. For those that aren't on YouTube, you got to go check out the YouTube video. It's just see my expression when Antonino just continues to bring up Burrow and the bank. Oh my gosh, this season needs to end for them this weekend. I was going to root for them, but after all this jibber jabber that you've been going on with, man, I just need this season to end.
That's
so you
right.
can get back to reality with us all here.
I'm feeling extra grinchy today, and I hope everyone has a terrible yet awesome holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and as always, we'll see you on the next one. The next one is the best one.
That's right. Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of First and 30. Until next Wednesday, remember, when your number's called, no matter the odds,
Just go for it.